So what are we going to talk about today? Well, not unsurprisingly, really, I'm going to talk about what makes up the US tech sector. We're going to be looking at, well, what is it that makes it so popular to trade? And it is a very popular index sector and particular individual stocks. And that's what we'll lead on to. Should we look at trading the index or the individual stocks? That'll be something that will be of a kind of an interesting discussion point. And as I said, if you have experience, then please, by all means, put it in the chat box. And we'll talk about how can we trade them best. What kind of tools and techniques could we utilize? And then what we'll do is we'll switch across to have a little look at the US tech sector in live markets, and we'll see what, if anything, that's showing up, and how I set up my own platform to be able to sort of analyze and engage with that particular sector. So for those who don't know me, my name's Paul Wallace. I've traded for many years. Personally, I primarily focus on FX indices and commodities, and I like to trade trends on my sort of swing and position trades and be a mean reversion and reversal trader on the intraday trading. And we're here with Admiral Markets, and as you can see, Admiral Markets offer a broad range of financial instruments for you to trade, and they have real global expertise, and they are licensed and regulated across a wide range of regulatory environments, providing competitive spreads on the most popular trading products and allowing you to engage with markets using either MT4 and MT5. And if you've got any questions about Admiral Markets, please get in touch with your account representative, and they'll be very happy to guide you. But as I said, we're here to talk about trading the US tech sector. And the US technology sector is one of the most exciting and profitable investment sectors in the world. And it comes down to that question, as I said at the start, do you actually know how to trade it? Do you have experience of such? Or is it something that's either passed you by, or maybe it seemed a bit too complex, a little bit too sort of fast-paced and exciting for you, okay? And that's absolutely fine. Because what we're going to do in this session, we'll discuss how to navigate the US tech sector and how traders can engage with this sector in their own trading endeavors. So, what we'll look at is, so Spencer says there, he holds a lot of stocks, but, they're all long-term holds rather than active trading. Robert said that, he's got nil experience, only Forex and Aussie stocks. Philip says he's only ever traded Forex himself. So it's not unusual that, a lot of people will start with trading particular one, maybe asset class, maybe it is Forex, maybe it is, maybe it was crypto, etc. But, as you grow in trading experience, you realize that, quite a lot of the skill base that you acquire and you develop is applicable to a wide range of asset classes. And those of you who've joined me for many of the sessions over the years will know that I talk about you being a versatile trader, and my definition of a versatile trader is that you should be somebody who can trade any instrument in any direction on any time frame. You should be comfortable to be able to do that. Now, you will probably find that you will niche yourself into particular instruments that, or time scales, okay, that actually suit your personality. But I think if you have the basic set of skills that allows you to be a versatile trader, to trade any instrument on any time frame in any direction, that's a great skill set to have, okay, and allows you to adapt to markets as they change. Because if you've traded for any real length of time, you'll know that markets do change, and you need to be able to adapt to them. Markets don't adapt to you; you have to adapt to them. And so, having the good skill base will help you with that. But with that in line, what we can do is we can talk about, well, what have we learned so far on the Trading Spotlight webinar series that would be applicable to the US tech sector. And as I said, if you stay with us till the end, we'll switch across to the charting platform, and I'll show you, okay, how the stuff that's we've taught and spoken about so far can just be used in just trading this asset class in the same way as you would approach other classes in your trading library. So as always, I appreciate, we do have a broad range of experience of people here who join us for our session. So some people will be very adept with what the US tech sector is. Others may not really understand it at all. And so really, the technology sector is the category of stocks relating to the research, development, and or distribution of technologically based goods and services. This sector contains businesses revolving around the manufacturing of electronics, creation of software, computers or products, and services relating to information technology. The term technology sector is frequently shortened to tech sector and is used interchangeably with the term technology industry. Because of the pace of innovation, the tech sector is often the most attractive investment destination in any economy. The tech sector is very good at creating a buzz about its endeavors, which attracts investors. And that's absolutely right. And that's probably one of the key elements to understand, okay? The technology sector is fast-paced, okay? There is, constant innovation going on. And there's also constant, sort of replacement, okay? As we just get to grips with one technology, well, then the next level of technology comes along to replace it. So there's always that fast pace. And because of that pace and because of the growth opportunities, that attracts, huge amounts of investors and investment capital who are looking to sort of, take advantage of that. And because of that happens, well, then that creates opportunities for traders, regardless of your particular timescale or background. So Galaxy says that, it's important of the earnings report calendar for the stock market. You are absolutely right. Okay, you're absolutely right there. Thanks for sort of adding that. Today, what we're going to do is we're just going to give a very sort of general, broad-based introduction to it. Okay, as you want to look at and investigating it, you'll realize that there are kind of layers of knowledge that you will want to know and understand. But today, we're just a case of just understanding how you can understand what is the US tech sector, how is it made up, and how could you engage with it based upon the skill sets you've acquired so far. So, then you're looking at, well, how would you analyze the US tech sector? Where do you even find it? All right. So there are actually quite a few ways you can analyze the tech sector, but for us as private traders, and one of the couple of the simplest ways that you can do that is you can look at the ETF, the exchange traded fund for the US tech sector, which is its code is IYW, my apologies, IYW, which you can see I've just pulled up a chart there, but even if you put that into Google or your internet browser, you'd be able to discover that and find that. And that really is an ETF, an exchange traded fund that effectively just focuses solely on the US tech sector. Okay, so particularly if you were looking for, let's say, a longer term either trading or investment idea, well, then you'd find ETFs become very popular when you operate in the kind of a longer term, simply because their costs are much lower, their ongoing charges are much cheaper. So in terms of holding it as a particular investment, it just means that it's a little bit more efficient and effective for your way to be able to do it, and it allows you just to focus on that one particular sector. There are ETFs created for for pretty much anything. You can pretty much find an ETF for all manner of investment thoughts and ideas. But IYW is effectively just the US tech sector. Okay, so if you want to be looking at it a long term, well then I would guarantee, or I would sort of commend you to sort of just have a look at that, take that on board. Okay, you'll find it's not that difficult to find as a chart. Okay, you can really get updated on it. And as I said, if it's a long-term chart, it doesn't need to be a real-time chart. You'll find some of them are provided a delayed 15-minute chart, and that's actually fine. Okay, if you're longer term holding position, okay, a 15-minute delay in the chart is fine, is absolutely fine. Okay, so Anthony's asking, would it be right that you can't get it on MT5? That's correct at the moment. Okay, that's correct. It's ETF. That particular ETF is it's quite specific, and as I said, it more suits itself to kind of, let's say, longer term swing and position trading. One of the ways we can actually start to look at it in terms of the actual tech sector is to look at the index that primarily sort of focuses itself on companies that are dealing in technology. All right, and that would be the NASDAQ 100. All right, which is the NASDAQ 100 is the 100 biggest effectively technology kind of stocks in the US. And because the nature of the way the world and the way the tech sector goes, even though most countries have a tech sector, it's the US tech sector that leads the world, okay, and will to continue to do so for the foreseeable future, okay. Undoubtedly, there will be changes going on, but the reality is the US tech sector is, leads the world in all of the tech sectors. So it's important to know and understand what is going on there. And one of the quickest ways we can analyze it is to have a look at the NASDAQ 100, okay, index chart, which is available on the Admiral Markets MT4 and MT5 platform. You'll see it there. It's NQ100, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. Anyway, we'll have a look on the live charts. Yeah, and particularly just, it's there. It is just a quick snapshot, okay, of the Nasdaq 100. Let's bring up the drawing tool, okay. I'll show you where you can find it on the platform anyway, but you'll see how it is effectively how it's described, and realistically, it's this is a daily chart, okay. Just like any of the daily charts of the other indices, we'll have a look at that. I'll show you how I particularly set it up to look at myself, okay, and how I how I utilize that to start to build my picture. So what you're looking at is as I said there, in the Nasdaq 100, okay, index the 100 biggest tech shares in the US, but that of course gives us a great indication of the kind of sense of sentiment and overall confidence in that particular sector. This is we're looking at here. This is kind of early July, okay, late June, after the issues with the kind of a COVID pandemic from kind of mid-February to mid-March. You can see that we had, even for the tech sector, no sector was immune, okay, from a collapse in prices, but you can for yourself see how strongly that has come back, and we'll look at that in a bit more depth when we sort of switch across to the charts in a moment. But there is we'll talk about the underlying reasons for that, okay, a bit later on, okay, when we can see some of the actual individual stocks, and we can actually look at the index as well and see how it all fits together. So, we understand that there is a US tech sector, and it's enormously popular, but actually what really goes into the tech sector? And as I said, I appreciate we do have a broad range of experience here, but what goes into that US tech sector, it is these days what you would consider household names, all right? If you probably where you're sat here watching us, and if you're looking around you will probably find that there's huge amounts of products and services from companies in the US tech sector that you are utilizing yourself. You might be watching this on on an Apple product, okay. You might be watching this on through a Microsoft service. Perhaps you're watching this on the Admiral Markets Facebook page, okay, or maybe you're on a device that uses NVIDIA chips, okay, inside it. So the US tech sector, the companies that make up that and their products and services these days, they literally surround you, okay. They surround you everywhere, okay, from whether it be Facebook pages through to the devices you hold in your hands, to the sort of TV streaming services you watch using, or the internet browser, okay, that you look at, or the search engine that you go to look for a chart on IYW. All right, you are surrounded by these household names, all right, and fascinating to think about it. If you just take a moment to just look around you, the room you're in, or what you're doing, what you're working on, you'll see that you are absolutely utterly surrounded by the US tech sector, okay. And as you think about that, as we as a species, or whether you want to just say even in the Western world, or even just globally, okay, as we have embraced technology, well, just think about what that has done for the share prices of those companies, delivering those products and services, and the indices that they have, the indices that has sat upon. And it's quite fascinating. And in particular, and as we see here, in 2020, what you can see is that some of the very popular ones are presently, they're known as the Fangman stocks, okay, which are very popular at this present moment. So what does Fangman stand for? Well, as you can probably see there, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple, and NVIDIA. Okay, that makes up the Fangman stocks. They are they're very good liquid stocks to trade, very volatile, have great movement upon them, and there's great great opportunities to trade through them. So you will very often find or hear analysts or traders who trade in a sort of tech stock that will come up with what was originally known as the FANGs now has become the FANGman stocks. Okay, so even if you just look for if you look on your US tech sector Google browser to look for FANGman stocks information, you'll find plenty about it there. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we've got to work with the tools we have to hand. And how can we do that? Well, what we'll find is that several of the US tech stocks are tradable through Admiral Markets on their MT4 and MT5 platform. And I'll show you where they are and how you can find them. And with that in mind, what we've done is that we're going to create our own version of a FANGman profile, okay, based upon being a tech sector, tech stock, and also a being able to be traded through MT4 and MT5 platform. So what we can do is we can find and we can create a little profile with Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and then NASDAQ. Okay, we don't have NVIDIA to trade, but we will just put that in. We'll replace that with NASDAQ. And to make it a nice 8 from 8, I've also added Tesla in there. Now, Tesla actually is more of a transportation stock, okay, because of the cars. However, many people would see Tesla as a technology company more so than an automotive or a transportation company. And also, there's been an awful lot of movement in the Tesla stock, as we'll see, which just adds to the overall picture of those kind of stocks involved in technology that have great volume, great liquidity, great movement. Okay, and as traders, that's what we're looking for. And as I said, we'll show you how to switch that on or how to create that when we switch across to the charts in a moment. So, what I have here is, this is, it's a FANGman profile. Okay, so it's a FANGman profile here. So I've got, let's look at this here and I'll show you how to set this up. I've got Facebook here, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, Apple, NASDAQ, okay, and then the Tesla, because it's 8 charts and that works. And as I said, I'm looking at Tesla as a bit of a technology stock, even though it's not officially graded as that. I think most people would look at Tesla as a tech stock rather than just a pure transportation. But that's what you can do, and you can set that up, okay. And it's quite simple, it's quite easy, and we'll do it in a moment to show you how that occurs, okay, and what you really need to be looking out for. Now, of course, once we know that we can focus on just looking at some of the individual stocks that also make up the NASDAQ as well, that gives us a bit of a broader picture and a broader interest into what is available to us. As we'll see is here we go, is that what we can see is that you'll see that we've, and some of the other content that has been put out on the Trading Spotlight webinar series is that we've talked about what you need to take into account when you come to trade individual equities. So what does become important, as one of our attendees commented on, is that it's important to understand the kind of earnings report, okay, the earnings report season that comes out for stock markets, and in particular for those particular stocks in the FANGman, if that is where you particularly choose to place your focus. It becomes very, very important to understand when news is coming out for those particular stocks. Now, as traders, I don't expect you, and I would never suggest that you try to predict how the market will respond to those kind of news, because actually that becomes quite a challenging aspect of trading, okay? And invariably, humans tend to be quite poor at predicting in the long run. But what it is important is to know, what that news is, and when that news is coming out, and what that news is compared to the expectations. Okay, so if the earnings report was better, okay, than expected, well then the market of that stock will respond differently than if the number was worse than expected. Okay, so as I said, trying to predict what the number will be, okay, is normally a pretty useless, futile gesture for most traders. It's about knowing, when that news is coming out and how the market reacts to that news. That's the key element for good traders. So, Anthony says, would I be right that I can get it on MT5? Okay, you're right. You can't get IYW on MT5. Okay, but you can get all of these. You can get the Nasdaq and these US tech stocks on there as well. And Abra says talks about being an automobile company. Yeah, you're right. Tesla. If you look at it as an official thing, Tesla would be deemed as an automobile company, but most people would consider that a bit of a tech stock, okay, at the moment, in terms of just because the way the stock responds, and we shall look at that in a particular moment. So, how do traders go around analyzing that US tech sector? Well, there's a few ways, okay? What you'll find is many traders like to use fundamental analysis to analyze markets. You'll also find that lots of traders will use technical analysis to help analyze and trade the kind of US tech sector. The reason being for that is, and the way I look at it is that there is, whether you particularly use fundamental analysis, whether you use particular technical analysis, or you're using sentiment analysis, or you're just looking at you're just sort of trading the tape, or trading emotions, etc. What it is ultimately, and as we've said this all about, it's about you being in a position to be able to make a decision. That's all that matters. And for me, for most private traders, you'll find that looking at technical analysis as a chart of those particular index, and also the sector and the individual stocks, that allows you to just simply make a decision of, am I going to be a buyer? Am I going to be a seller? Or am I going to sit in my hands? And that's what we come back to time and time again. Those are the three elements you need to, to consider in terms of what kind of decision am I going to need to be making. And what we talk about when we use technical analysis, that the standard tools we've used previously, they work well. Okay, identifying levels of support resistance, looking for particular candlestick patterns, looking for sort of price action patterns, and also you'll find moving averages. They will work exceptionally well on good trending stocks. So as I said right at the start, it's about you being a versatile trader and having the kind of skill set that allows you to basically trade any instrument in any time frame in any direction. If you have that skills set, okay, embedded in, it allows you to adapt to whatever particular sector or instrument, okay, that you choose to focus on. So what you need to also understand is that if you're going to look to trade US tech sector stocks, is that you need to understand and make a decision about, well, what type of trader are you? All right, and that is a bit of it's a key aspect, regardless of whatever you look to engage in trade with. Okay, are you the kind of trader who looks to focus on intraday and scalping moves? Are you a swing trader where a trade might stay open for a few hours to a few days, maybe a week or so? Or are you a position trader where your trades might stay open for days, weeks, perhaps even months? Okay, depending upon your personality, and you need to understand that, and you need to have a look at it, and you need to have to sort of understand yourself, be able to sort of make that decision. So some people that decision be made for them because they are probably part-time traders trying to trade around other responsibilities and commitments, whether it might be a day job, maybe it might be family commitments, etc. And so their time might be that might sort of guide the way that they look to engage with markets. But alternatively, even if you are trading full-time or part-time, it's about understanding what type of trader are you, okay? And if you can identify that, okay, then invariably that will help you in your decision making. And the best way to identify that is as you start out, is to take trades and make sure you're just keeping good records of the trades, but also writing down how you find taking those particular trades. Okay, some people are very good at being position traders, others much prefer much shorter term intraday scalping trades. It is about knowing which type of trader you are. Because of course, once you know that, well, then that starts to determine the time frames that you're going to be looking at and utilizing. All right. So, if you're an intraday scalper, not really much use using the monthly chart, okay, day to day. And equally, if you're a long-term position trader, okay, well, then watching the 5-minute chart is actually just going to send you a little bit potty. So you have to understand what time frames will be utilized, and you also have to recognize, okay, how will you trade? Okay, what will be your particular trading method? Are you going to be someone who looks to trade in a sort of a trend following or momentum? or are you someone who looks to trade in kind of a mean reversion or reversal patterns? Certainly for myself, as I've said, when I trade a longer term, okay, so I like to sort of trade trend following or kind of momentum moves, and shorter term trading for myself, okay, I much prefer to sort of trade sort of mean reversion and reversal trades. That's what I've learned about myself over many years of keeping good records and analyzing how I look to make my trading decisions. And that will come to you, okay? And the more you do it, the better records you'll keep, the more insight you'll have about how you want to engage with those particular markets. But what you also need to know, before we sort of have a look at the live charts, is that before engaging in trading the US tech sector or any instrument or asset classes, let's set some very simple rules and expectations for our trading. Regardless of what instrument you trade, risk management is absolutely key, right? And you will have heard me and my colleagues Marcus and Jens talk about it, consistently since we started this series, that risk management is absolutely key, and you have to honor it. That's what, as you said earlier, you have to know what news is coming out for that session. Okay, you need to know what the kind of big global news, or the big specific US news that is coming out for that session, and also you need to know what, if any, particular earnings reports are coming out for the individual stocks that you might be focused on. As I said, you don't need to know exactly what that news is, but you definitely need to know when it's coming out, and you need to sort of be able to look at how the market reacts to that news. One of the things I can also suggest is that you conduct your analysis before you start trading. Now, if you're trading in, let's say in Europe, and you're waiting for the US sectors, US stocks to open in the afternoon, well, then that allows you to do a little bit of your analysis in the morning before the trading session begins. What we also talk about is resisting the temptation to trade out of session. So, sometimes people want to trade instruments, in the middle of the night, where, if you're trying to trade, US stocks, okay, in the middle of, let's say, the night for the European or perhaps other parts of the world, that is not necessarily always the best way, because invariably, the vast majority of people trading US tech sector are going to be US traders trading it in the what for us in the Europe is the afternoon session. As always, and it's pretty standard, isn't it? Make sure you have a good internet connection, and also ensure that you're rested and prepared for the session. All right, the trading the US tech sector, on days where it can go a little bit wild, a little bit mad. Okay, and if you're not really at the races right from the off, then that can come back to haunt you a little bit. So make sure that you're rested and prepared. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the US tech sector it's a very popular investment sector, okay, one of the most popular in the world, and you have the option to trade either, okay, you could trade the US tech sector ETF, okay, IYW, okay, for much like longer term buy and hold. But if we want to trade it, well, then we're looking at, okay, the NASDAQ 100 is the best place to start, and then you can maybe drop down to the individual stocks. In particular, the Fangman tech stocks are very popular, and as shown, we just created a version of that in a profile in MetaTrader, which I'll share with you and show you now. And what we talked about is the kind of price action techniques that we have previously discussed in many of the sessions, which are all available on the webinar archive. You can also go and have a look through them and pick up on those and develop those to be able to apply them to the US tech sector. As always, risk management is key. Okay, that's the number one job, okay, for you to complete. So why don't we take a little look at the charts and start to set up and have a little look at what is available to us. So before we do that, if you want a bit more help and support, well, then I can suggest you join the Trading Spotlight community, okay, where you'll find myself. I'll be there for the rest of this afternoon, so you're very welcome to come in and ask questions, okay, and bring me your trading challenges. And you'll also see that, my colleagues Marcus and Jens put in some great daily updates, okay, on what they're looking at, and you can learn an awful lot from that. And so you can join us there, Trading Spotlight group, which is tradersyard.com/group/312, and you'd be very welcome to join us. And as always, don't forget the next session, which will be on Wednesday, where my colleague Marcus is going to talk about when to check into trader rehab. So he will cover what is trader rehab, when is time to go to trader rehab, and how to analyze your trading history. And so he'll be talking about that on Wednesday afternoon, 8th of July, 2 p.m. London time. Check your inbox for the webinar link. As always, you'll find there's lots of analysis, education, and resources on the admiralmarkets.com website. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us at email hello@admiralmarkets.com. You can see this video and the rest of the Trading Spotlight webinar series of webinars on youtube.com/Admiral Markets and facebook.com/Admiral Markets Global. So I hope you found that interesting. That's given you just a little bit of insight, okay, a little bit of a starting point for you to look at the US tech sector. And if you'll bear with me a moment, what we'll do is we'll switch across to the, in my case here, the Admiral Markets MT4 Supreme Edition platform, and we'll have a little look about, how we would go about identifying, analyzing, and identifying the stocks and index that make up the US tech sector. So if you just bear with us a moment, we'll switch across. Okay, super. So I'm hoping that you can all just move this out of the way a little bit. I'm hoping that you can all see the still see myself here. Hopefully, you can see the MT4 platform here as well. So what we've got here is, I've just brought up my market watch, and if we go down. Here we go. Let's just see some parts. Philip says all okay. That's great. You'll see here on the market watch, you can find the kind of a NASDAQ. The NASDAQ here screen here, you can see it's within the quotation marks NQ100. Okay, you can see it. You can see it there. And also, if you scroll down, okay, you'll see there's quite a broad range of US stocks there. Okay, and so we've got from, hopefully you can maybe see that there. I think that will be kind of American Airlines there. Okay, down to IBM, etc., even up to Disney, Cisco, which you could put in. They're a keen US tech sector. You've even got Twitter as well, okay, in there, which we could have a look at. But what I did, as I said, is I wanted to set up our own kind of version of a Fangman profile. So what I did is, you just literally, as most of you'll know, you'll be able to sort of set up a profile like here, just drag and drop, okay, the particular instruments we want to look at. So I've got the Facebook here, okay, I've got Amazon, I've got Netflix, I've got Google, I've got Microsoft, Apple, NASDAQ, and as I said, I've also got Tesla here as well. So, what we'll be looking at is, starting off with the actual NASDAQ 100, okay? So let me just move this out of the way here. So this is a daily chart. So, remember, those of you who've joined us in the past, okay, I talk about whenever you're looking at chart, firstly, regardless of whether you're going to be a position trader, whether a swing trader, intraday trader, a scalper, I think it's important to sort of just understand those kind of key important levels, all right? And so, what you'll be looking at is, just basically starting out and drawing in particular, I'll just change that, just drawing in particular levels of support and resistance, okay, that appear to be on the charts themselves, okay, starting at the kind of the monthly, all right, and then going down to the weekly, okay, and here's where I find you might see the kind of little triangles. Here's where I find kind of using fractals very useful. Okay, they can help guide my eyes where I see specific levels or specific sort of periods of kind of support and resistance that are of interest to me, and it's very quickly you can start to sort of draw in and get a little bit of a gauge, an idea of significant levels, okay, of support and resistance. And as I said, if you start off the monthly, then on the weekly, and then go down to the daily, okay, then you start to get an idea of where these particular key levels are. Okay, here we go. If we go down to the daily, we can see the recent highs there, okay, that are going on, and I'll just here we go. And what I also have here drawn in is on a big red horizontal level is 10,000, which was, just a big round number that we've just encroached, and as you can see already flying through. All right. So so then, looking at sort of, as always, so just, drawing in levels of support resistance, trying to identify, is there a trend in place? Okay. Now the daily chart here gives us a good indication that this is, we're in an uptrend for the NASDAQ. All right. We're in a, pretty strong uptrend for the NASDAQ. We talked a little bit earlier. Let's bring up the old drawing tools here, help us a little bit. we talked about how, we had, a high there, just the pre-COVID high, the drop, and then a kind of a bit of a scruffy double bottom there, okay? But what we have literally seen is, price sort of just nicely working its way up there. So as I say every week, I apologize for my drawing skills. I'm a better trader than I am an artist, but hopefully you can get the idea. We've just been in a very strong, bullish channel there, right, for since April, really. Okay, and moving on. So of course that starts to set my mind thinking of, well, we're already bullish in the Nasdaq, which you're looking to sort of see follow through into the individual stocks that make up that, and you'd also be looking at, well, okay, ideally what I want to be doing is I want to be a bullish trader through that, okay, when the instrument, when the index is bullish there, okay, even though when it's had some kind of strong pullbacks, it's a case of it has continued, all right, to be in that strong uptrend, and that's what you'd be particularly looking at. And some individuals, okay, would want to sort of delve down and actually look to sort of trade just the Nasdaq itself on maybe an intraday basis with that, or maybe on a swing basis, which is perfectly acceptable. And that might be a way that you get exposure and enlightenment, okay, and engagement with the US tech sector, okay. So what I'm saying is, you start with looking at, what the Nasdaq has been doing, and then you're in a position to sort of go down and go through the rest of those sort of fangman stocks. So if we look at, let's just starting with Facebook, okay, as I said, pretty much the same as what we've just done on the kind of the Nasdaq, is just starting off at the monthly chart, just drawing in significant highs and lows or particular areas of consolidation, all right, that we can see, okay. And one of the good things about the tool is that MetaTrader is that once it's drawn in, okay, on particular time frames and charts, is that actually it stays there, okay. So yes, it might take you a little bit of time to do it the first time, but invariably, once you've done that, it's a case of just being able to look at how to effectively sort of just update it as new price action occurs. So if you're looking at the Facebook daily chart there, well, what do you know? All right, what do you know? Okay, it's not massively different from the Nasdaq chart itself, okay, and generally over the last few months. And this is kind of a broader picture of what we're seeing here at the moment, is that the overall, okay, US indices, all right. So with the Dow, the S&P 500, the Russell, and the Nasdaq, they have pretty much been driven by the US tech sector, okay, at the moment, because in this particular crazy world which we've been in for the last 4 or 5 months, well, what's happened is that investors have just basically gone to put their money into companies that they feel are the best bet with regards to what's going on. That is deemed to be US tech sectors stocks, okay, and so we have seen a great, we saw after the crash there in sort of February, March, we saw just a great rally back in those particular tech sector stocks, okay? And that has, in its way, dragged the Nasdaq higher. And in many ways, that has also dragged the other American indices higher, okay? And so, it's a real case of the tech sector is kind of running the world at the moment, it's kind of leading the world, all right? And so, you have to be, you don't want to particularly fight that. So as Robert says, there's a lot of gaps there. Yes, there are. You're absolutely right, and that is that in itself is both a that's a bit of a both a best blessing and a curse. Okay, shall we say, for traders, depending upon the kind of style of trading that you engage with. If you're taking a long-term position, well, then the sort of gaps on a daily basis may not necessarily really be of too much significance to you. Okay, that might not necessarily be really that important. If you're a swing trader, okay, who's holding trades for a few hours to maybe a few days, well, yes, those particular gaps can, of course, have an impact. And that just comes back to making sure you understand when big news is coming out for the US economy and particular earnings reports or news is coming out for those particular stocks and sectors. So of course, remember what we see here is, of course, that that kind of the markets open sort of 9:30 time in the US, and they will run till sort of 4:30 or 5:30, okay, and that will depend upon where you are in the world, okay. So here in the sort of UK, we're looking at anything from like 2:30 onwards in the UK for those US markets to open, and that will invariably the difference between the price it closed at last night and what the price it opens this morning, it will invariably might create a gap. Now, there are traders who particularly just focus on trading the gaps themselves, okay, and actually looking to trade in the direction of the filling of the gaps. But that in itself is that's a webinar all of its own, okay. But at the moment, it's a case of just recognizing, when you see particular gaps, and making sure you're aware of that when you're factoring in your particular trading style. But you can see, Facebook having had a bit of a run up there, okay, it went into a little bit of a block. It's kind of popped out of there, okay, of that block, okay, just picked up probably some orders there, and now here we are back in that, okay. But if you look at going down the particular charts, okay, in terms of the particular time frames, and what you will find is that many of these, okay, many of the big US tech sectors, as for intraday trading, because they are very got great volume, great liquidity, okay, and a good bit of volatility, they become attractive just even for intraday traders who are just effectively day trading particular US tech stocks. And you will see there that you can see that's just the what's that one 30-minute chart to kind of let's have a look at that. It's kind of just move this around a bit. We can see that invariably, just even on 30-minute charts here, okay, we can see that price might go for a few days in a particular trend, okay, before it trends strongly in another way, and before it re-exerts its trend. So it's not unusual for maybe some of these stocks to trend for like a few days at a time, okay, and that can provide opportunity for you, okay. That can provide opportunity depending upon whether you're a particular trend trader or whether you like to trade reversal patterns. So I was looking at, so here's, Apple. Okay, let's look at Apple. Many of you will have Apple products, whether you're using a Mac, a MacBook, or you're trading off your phone or off your iPad. Okay, so you will have elements of be exposed to Apple products and services. So you might be particularly interested in what they offer as in the particular stocks, okay, and sectors. And we can see here, if I go down to the weekly chart, you can see that the weekly chart here. Let's go down to the daily, just so it looks like exactly like the Facebook chart and the NASDAQ chart. You can see what happened there, okay. It just did that kind of double bottom there, and once again it's just been in that bullish channel, hasn't it, for the last couple of months. You can see that there yourself, okay, and that's just been there's been a great long-term trend, there's been a great swing trend, okay, and there's also been sort of intraday opportunities for traders as well. And we just go down here for the last moment or so, just looking here at the 30-minute chart, okay. What we have here just over the last couple of weeks, particularly what I like to sort of trade here, what I've got here is, we had a nice key reversal here after a push up, okay. We had a nice bearish key reversal, which gave a nice trade all the way down, and then followed by we had a bullish key reversal here, okay, which kind of failed, but then the second bullish key reversal took us back up, okay. And that's that's the sort of thing you can look for, okay, if you're trading on a shorter time frame. As I said, on much shorter time frames, I like to sort of trade mean reversion, okay. I like to see price extend out before it reverses and comes back in, and that's where I like to sort of how I like to sort of trade myself when I'm doing intraday trading, especially on things like US tech sector stocks. Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sadly we've run out of time. As I said, today was supposed to be a little bit of an introduction. There is a huge amount we could go into in terms of the trading of the just individual stocks and particular tactics, and maybe we'll cover that in a future session. But as always, I hope you found this the session useful. I hope it's given you just a little bit of insight, just giving you a little bit of how you can engage with it using the Admiral Markets MT4 and MT5 platforms. And as always, I wish you the very best of success in your own trading, ladies and gentlemen. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Trade well and take care of yourselves. Many thanks.